Welcome to Dirty Money and Clean Truths. Today, we're diving deep into the dark art of the wash, how criminals take illegal cash and make it look perfectly legitimate. It's one of the most complex, most fascinating crimes in the world, money laundering. Okay, so picture this. You've done it. The heist was flawless, the big deal went through. Whatever it was, you are now sitting on a massive pile of cash. You should be on top of the world, right? But you've actually got a huge problem. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? Getting the money is just step one. The real challenge is figuring out how to use it, how to buy things, invest, live your life, without setting off alarm bells and getting caught. That's a whole different ballgame. And yeah, it is a very, very dirty problem. You can't just waltz into a dealership and buy a Lamborghini with a suitcase full of bills. You can't buy a mansion that way either. That kind of move attracts exactly the kind of attention you want to avoid. See, here's the thing. In pretty much every country, banks are required by law to report any large cash deposits or suspicious activity to the government. If you walk in with a duffel bag full of money, you're not making a deposit, you're basically walking right into a trap. So criminals had to get creative. They needed a system. And that system, the art of cleaning dirty money, almost always follows this classic three-step cycle. Once you understand these three steps, you understand the very core of how money laundering works. Okay, here it is. Step one, you have to get that dirty cash into the financial system somehow. That's placement. Step two, you have to move it around and around and around through all sorts of complex transactions to hide where it came from. That's layering. And finally, step three, you bring the money back into the legitimate economy so you can use it. That's integration. So here's the key takeaway. Money laundering isn't really about hiding the money. It's about hiding its origin story. It's about erasing its criminal past so it can show up in public looking clean and respectable. All right, to really see how this plays out, let's invent a character. We'll call him Craig. We're going to follow his journey as he starts small but finds his problems and his solutions get bigger and bigger really fast. So here's Craig. He just made his first grand from, let's say, unofficial business. Now $1,000 isn't a fortune, but it's enough that just walking into a bank and depositing it might raise an eyebrow. He's got to get this cash into the system quietly. His first move is a classic entry-level technique called structuring. Instead of one big noticeable deposit of $1,000, he makes 5 smaller deposits of $200 each, spread out over a couple of weeks. The whole idea is to stay under the radar, below the amount that triggers a mandatory report. But here's the catch. The banks are not dumb. Their computer systems are literally designed to look for these kinds of patterns, and they can share information with each other. So even Craig's small, repeated deposits could eventually get flagged. He's got to get smarter. This brings us to the next level. Smurfing. No, not the little blue guys. In this world, a smurf is a person you hire to do your banking. Craig gives a couple $100 to a few different friends, his smurfs, and they each deposit it into their own accounts. Then they just transfer the nice clean money back to him. Now the pattern is way harder to spot. But, smurfing is slow. It's tedious, and it doesn't really work when you're making serious money. As Craig's operation grows, he's suddenly dealing with tens of thousands of dollars. He needs a bigger, faster washing machine. So where does he go? The casino. And the genius of the casino method is how shockingly simple it is. Craig walks in with a bag of dirty cash, buys thousands of dollars in chips, maybe plays a few hands of blackjack to look like a real gambler, and then he cashes out. He walks away with a check or a receipt from the casino that says winnings. Boom. He now has a perfectly legitimate source for all that cash. The casino trick is good. It's really good. But even that has its limits. As Craig's profits keep growing, he needs his own personal machine, a business that can wash cash for him 24/7. So what does he do? He opens a bar. Businesses like bars or car washes or laundromats, they're the perfect fronts. Why? Because they naturally deal with a ton of physical cash, and that makes it incredibly easy to mix the dirty money in with the clean, legitimate earnings. And here's a cool piece of trivia for you. The term money laundering isn't a metaphor. It literally came from guys like Al Capone, who used actual laundromats to make the money from their illegal booze and gambling operations look like legitimate profits from washing clothes. So here's how Craig does it. Let's say his bar has a pretty good night and makes $1,000 in real, honest-to-goodness sales. Craig can just slip another $1,000 of his dirty cash into the register. He'll print up a few fake food and drink orders, and suddenly, on the books, it just looks like it was a really, really busy night. That money is now officially part of his company's revenue. Okay, Craig is in the big leagues now. We're talking millions. A simple bar in one city isn't going to cut it anymore. To handle this kind of volume, he has to go global. He has to enter the shadowy world of offshore accounts and shell companies. And at this level, you have to understand the difference between a front company and a shell company. Craig's bar, that's a front company. It's a real business with real employees and customers. A shell company is something else entirely. It only exists on paper. There's no office, no employees, nothing. Its one and only purpose is to act as a ghost, to move and hide money. And just look at how complex this gets. A shell company Craig set up in Panama sends a massive invoice to his bar for, let's say, consulting services that, of course, never happened. The bar pays the invoice, and just like that, the money is offshore. From there, it gets wired to Switzerland, disguised as a loan to another shell company. Then that loan gets sent to the Cayman Islands and invested in a trust fund. Each step adds a new layer of confusion, making the money's origin almost impossible to trace. So we followed Craig's journey from a small-time crook to an international criminal mastermind. It's a fascinating puzzle, right? But this isn't just a clever game. Money laundering has devastating real-world consequences. Just try to wrap your head around this number, $1.6 trillion. That's a conservative estimate for how much dirty money gets washed through our global financial system every single year. That's a number so big, it can destabilize entire countries. And this, right here, is the most important thing to understand. This is not a victimless crime. This laundered money is the lifeblood for some of the most evil activities on the planet. It pays for human trafficking. It funds terrorist operations. It buys the weapons for arms dealers and fuels corruption that keeps people in poverty. This is the grease that keeps the wheels of global organized crime turning. And all of this brings us to today. With the rise of cryptocurrencies and instant digital payments, the whole game is changing. This age-old cat-and-mouse chase between criminals and law enforcement has moved to a brand new digital frontier, and that leaves us with one really big question. Is all this new technology making the wash cycle easier to pull off or easier to stop?